Greetings and welcome to another exciting episode of the Why I Love Disney podcast. I'm Dustin. I'm here with my friends David and JD. How's it going, fellas?
Hey.
Great.
We are back for episode 45, and lots of stuff's happened since the last one. First and biggest thing, I think there's new Disney Plus content we've got to. But more than anything, I'm about to leave on a trip to Orlando. I'm going to spend a few days at the Universal Studios theme park. And, we're, theme park fans, going to check that out for a few days. It'll be in Orlando. And I thought John David and David, since they go a little more often than me, may have some great tips on what I should bring to the parks. We're going to talk about all that today and much more. We're so grateful you're here. But first, how are you guys doing?
Good.
It's been a great week.
Watch some Disney Plus last night.
Yeah, Moon Knight, baby.
Moon Knight is out. So let's just go ahead and talk about that. That's kind of what we were all excited to see. Episode 1 came out yesterday, Wednesday. And what were your first impressions? What did you guys think?
I really liked it. First take, I love Oscar Isaac. I loved him in everything I've seen. I saw him in Dune earlier this year and thought he did a great job. I think he's great. He kind of reminds me of Ryan Reynolds in a different kind of way because he can be serious and a good action actor, but he's also funny and he makes me chuckle a lot, which I think he did a great job in the first episode of it. Was serious. It was a mystery, we said spooky vibe, which I really love it. I love that kind of twist on an action movie where it's not just cool action scenes. It's not just this thriller. But it also makes me wonder what's going on and what's happening and try and make predictions in my own head. So I actually really liked it. And I liked how it was like a step above what we usually see in action. It was a little more gruesome, but it definitely wasn't like awful or too far. It doesn't really pass that line of, ooh, I got to look away, which I liked because it felt serious but not, again, over the top. What did you guys think?
I think that's a good description right there. I agree with you. I thought I liked the mystery. I liked the spooky vibe without it feeling like I was going to have to turn my head, like what's going to happen. It was storming here last night. We had a tornado. It was thunderstorms and a tornado watch. And I'm sitting there and kind of in the dark, and it was good. I enjoyed that vibe of it. I liked where it kind of ended. I wish the second episode had come out at the same time because I wanted to keep going, and now I've got to wait a week. But I thought the first half, I'm just trying to figure out what's going on. I knew a little of the premise, so that helped. But it was kind of confusing, like what's he going through and what's happening. But I thought the way it all came together at the end was a great conclusion for the first episode.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's interesting too, approaching it, and most people will probably approach it like this, knowing very little about this character or what they're getting into. And that was me in particular. I don't know much about Moon Knight or this character at all. So I walked in, I was watching with my son, my oldest son, and we both really, really enjoyed it. All the same thoughts that you guys had are kind of spot on. But I do think that one of the things I enjoy about it the most is that I don't know anything. I don't know what to expect. Mm-hmm. I did pick up some did you pick up any Venom vibes a little bit? Just the voice,
Exactly.
That's the first thing I thought of. This reminds me a little bit of Venom. There's like a dual personality kind of thing going on. He's talking to himself, and I think that's really interesting as it goes forward to figure out what's happening there. And I wonder if it's going to deal with kind of, is it a split personality? Is it like a foreign invasion? Is it a possession? I'm really curious to see how that plays out because I know never read anything about this in comic books, nothing like that. I'm completely ignorant as I walk into this, but enjoying it nonetheless.
Yeah. Have you guys seen the movie Memento?
Yes.
It's not Disney. So that was the two aspects that I was getting from Moon Knight was if Venom and Memento. Memento is like this movie where it's hard to describe, but it's like this mystery where it's this guy who he has trouble remembering things.
I think he
like
loses his memory every time he goes to sleep.
Yeah. Oh, that's it. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So the whole movie, he's having these. I guess it's a scene where he's awake, and then he wakes up. He wakes up again, and then he's just not sure what's happened, and that's kind of thing. So, but there's like killing. So you're trying to figure out like what's going on, and like who cares about him, and who's tricking him, because other people start to realize this, and you don't really figure out exactly what's going on until the end. So that's why with Moon Knight, he was going through these actions and talking to that girl and talking to his boss. And then he was having moments of, wait, what? Like, I did what? And not remembering it. So those were the two things of Venom. Definitely the deep voice talking to him was like, okay, that is very similar to Venom. But how I knew, McKay actually watched it with me, and how I knew, okay, this is going to be a good show was because McKay was intrigued. And when you have somebody who's maybe, with us, we love everything Marvel. Like, I'm going to get into anything Marvel that comes out ever. But when McKay, who she admires Marvel but doesn't know everything about it, is like, okay, this is good. Like, when's the next episode coming out? That tells me, okay, they're doing something right. Also, what do you guys think? Because I don't know if this is something that's authentically Disney Plus, where they release a show and they only do one at a time. Netflix in the past, they just let the whole show when they premiere it. You can find the whole season. Do you guys prefer it to be spaced out, or do you guys just want to binge watch the whole thing?
I kind of prefer it to come on out. I do. Like, I really wanted to keep going last night, but
yeah, hey,
that's just the way things are right now. It's just people are liking their stories stretched out over a series instead of even a 2-hour movie. So I like that in the series. It's like you get a longer movie, you get the content, but I sometimes at least would like two episodes.
Yeah,
46 minutes.
Both ways.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, man, I can too. 46 minutes, though, man, it was over so fast, and I wanted to keep going. But I was at least glad that where it ended, I thought that was a good. If there was only going to be one episode, the way they ended it worked well, because there have been other episodes that shows that they've released maybe two the first time, and I might not have kept going if I'd only seen one. I needed that second one to keep me going. Like, now I get where, like, it kind of depends on what they do with that first episode, whether I'm going to come back. They've got me. I'll be back to see what happens next, because that was a great way to do it. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think what I like about the spacing out is, at least for me, there's very few times anymore in my life with my schedule that I can binge watch anything. So the idea that it comes out once every week does a couple of things. One, I probably am very rarely going to be able to watch more than 1 or 2 episodes anyway.
Right.
Two, there is this sense of nostalgia like that you used to when a TV series came out is once a week, and you could talk about it, what happened in the episode, and you don't have to worry about, are you caught up? Everybody gets – and it's different in that regard, because back in the day, if it was on TV, if you missed it, you just missed it. You know what I'm saying? Like,
right.
You had to be there. It was must see at this time. You had to be there. So I do like the fact that you can kind of watch it whenever, but next week, the next one's coming out, right? So you better be ready. And for my family, we can Wednesday night, when we get home, they get home from church and it's a little late and you got to put the kids to bed, but maybe Thursday night when we're home, we're all going to watch whatever the new show is. It was Mighty Ducks or WandaVision or Loki. There's a new Loki out. Let's get together. This one, I don't know if my youngest is gonna love this. He may try. But Wyatt, my oldest, loves it. Absolutely loves it so far. So yeah, I like the being able to stew over it and the surprise of reminding. Oh, it's Wednesday, a new episode's out. I kind of like
That's
that
a good point.
little bit.
And
we get to talk about it a little bit at a time.
I don't really like to binge. Like, I don't want to watch 6 in a row. I typically max out. Like, after I've watched 2 of something, once it's about a movie length, I'm done. Like, I need to take a break. So often we have that conversation here. It's like, I need to watch something else. But I just kind of like knowing that they're all there and I can watch them when I want to on my schedule.
Yeah.
So especially if it's a clip. I mean, there were so many when we watched Daredevil. There were so many times we were like, we're just going to watch one, and then we were like, well, I can't go to bed not knowing what. That's a horrible place to stop. Sometimes we would start the episode and watch 10 minutes and go, okay, that person's fine. Now turn it off and we'll finish the episode. It was finding that place we could stop and let it go. Yeah.
Well, I remember I was late to the show Lost when it came out. I very rarely ever watched it live. I caught up on the DVD back when the DVD sets came out. I'd go rent them from Blockbuster, and when I finally got into it, it was the first show where it was so intriguing and I couldn't stop watching. Like, I couldn't stop watching. Like, it would 5 a.m. comes. I didn't even know. Like, it was, like you play, it's like video games. It was like almost hypnotic. It was so weird. And there's very few shows like that. And maybe the way things are made too, that they're designed to just, and when we Lost, there were so many episodes. Like a season was 32 episodes, something like that. Now we're dealing with completely different scales of things, which is really interesting how things have changed.
Yeah,
it is.
That's so fun. Yeah, that was the big debate in our apartment. Was we watched the first episode of Moon Knight, and McKay was like, "All right, let's watch the next one," and I was like, "What do you mean?" And she was like, "Let's watch the next one." I was like, "It just premiered. This is the only episode." And she was like, "That is the dumbest thing I have ever heard of." She was like, "Why would you only release one episode?" And she was like, "When is the next one coming out? Like tomorrow?" And I was like, she was like, "Next week." And she was like, "What?" She was like, "We have to wait a whole week." And I was like, "That's how Disney Plus does it. That's how they keep you intrigued. That's the marketing. That's the business." And she watches Netflix, and she was like, "No."
That's what I was going to say is from a marketing standpoint, it's genius. Like with Mandalorian, how each episode, then
People
the
talk about
child,
it.
oh my gosh, Baby Yoda, what's that? And you talk about it for a whole week and there's online buzz, that.
Well,
makes
and
a lot of sense.
there are people that watched one thing like Mandalorian, then they cancel their subscription and they wait for Loki to come out or something like that. This way, you're not doing that. You're not paying for 1 week. You're going to keep watching next week. It's going to keep you subscribed.
That's a great point. Well, I'm ready for episode 2, just like you guys. I think it's going to be fantastic. Is there anything else new that just came out? Usually, there's a couple new shows at a time.
I haven't seen anything. I mean, Turning Red just came out last week, so I mean that's pretty big in a 2-week span. What else?
I watched the Questlove documentary that's on Disney Plus about the music festival. That's a I think Summer of Soul. Yeah, that
is on Disney Plus. That's the one that won Best Documentary, and it's on Disney Plus.
Yes, and I saw it. I saw it when it aired on television. I thought I had seen it on PBS, but I think it might have premiered on ABC a while back. And I just stumbled on it one night and didn't know what I was watching, and I saw about half of it. So when I heard that he was up for a documentary, I was like, I just saw something about that. Like, I thought it was the same content, but a different movie, different show. Because I thought I had seen this on PBS, but so I watched it. It was like, oh, this is what I saw. It's pretty amazing, and it's growing up in that. I was a child. I was very young when all that was going on. I don't remember all that, but it's amazing what people were going through. It's staggering. You need to watch it just to be reminded of what that time was like and how difficult it was for so many people.
Yeah, you enjoy it. I can't wait to jump in and check that out on your recommendation.
Yeah, it's great.
And it won Oscar too.
I mean, and again, that they're performing outside and it's hot and it's in the sun, and I don't know how it sounds so good. I mean, but it's Gladys Knight and oh my goodness, so many people. The guy from the Temptations and Stevie Wonder and some jazz artists and blues artists, B.B. King. So many great gospel artists, Mavis Staples, Mahalia Jackson. All these people. It's just it's incredible.
Well, really, I've got it on my list now, thanks to you. So. That's awesome. That's pretty cool. And besides Moon Knight, I think the Kenobi's in May, right? We're still a month away from that. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's right.
So we're all holding on to that. Probably as soon as Moon Knight ends, it starts, right? Just
hopefully
all of us nerds on the hook and logged in. So, any other Disney news this week that you guys have seen?
Yeah, some
That you found
park update before we get into the Orlando parks. Some really big news actually is they announced that undistanced meet and greets are going to make a return sometime soon. They haven't released an exact date yet. I've seen some speculation of end of April. But that is huge for the parks because that is literally the reason that some people go to the parks by themselves, is for their kids to meet Mickey Mouse and get to hug them and take a picture. So I think Disney's going to do a great job of implementing it back. I think there's a lot of happy people to hear that.
Hey, I'm amazed at how many people. Again, this is one of the things I loved about when we started this podcast, like constantly meeting people that have different things that they love about Disney and especially the parks. And there are people that that their favorite thing is to eat. And there's people that their favorite things, attractions, and there are people that will go and spend all of their time getting the best spot for a parade view. And then there are people that, even adults that don't have kids, that are going around and greeting all these characters and standing in line for 30, 40 minutes to meet a princess. It's pretty amazing.
Hey, I'm excited that they're bringing it back because that means there's going to be 30 or 40-minute worth of lines that people are going to go so I can go ride Space Mountain 5 times. That's why I'm excited about it.
I do remember our family has always been so attraction driven, but when the kids were very little, we would get the autograph books, and we had some incredible experiences going into getting those autograph books signed and getting that one-on-one time. But as they got older, they were more like, I want to go ride Space Mountain, and we didn't do as many lines. But there are a lot of people that, I mean, again, that's their favorite thing. So I know that so many people are glad that that's back. And for all of us that want a shorter Space Mountain line, we hope that everybody will go stand in line.
Please.
One of the things that I've loved is what I remember my first trip back to Disney. I still remember how exciting it was just to be walking through Fantasyland or something like that, and you go, look, there's Pinocchio, and he would just go walking by because no one back then. You just kind of waved, and nobody's pulling out their phones to take pictures because we didn't have them then. So you just kind of greet and you shake hands and you keep moving. You didn't have to have a line because everybody didn't need an Instagram moment back then. But so I have liked that in the pandemic season that they've done the things like the cavalcades and you see a lot of characters. I like that they have the distance greets because that's the way I kind of like it. I go, oh look, Mickey's up there on the train station. You wave and I keep going. So I hope that those don't go away, even though they have the meet and greets back. I hope that they keep doing the more visible characters where you don't have to stand in line to see them.
Sure. Yeah.
I've seen too, kind of related to that, is character stuff that's coming back, or the meet and greets, the undistance, right? But also a few of the shows are finding their way back. I was just going through in the Hoop-de-Doo music review over at Fort Wilderness.
That's such a good one.
Is coming back soon, and I'd imagine that a lot of the shows have any of the other shows started yet, or have been announced.
I haven't seen any. There's been a lot of announcements like Hoop-de-Doo review that I'm sure this summer it's just going to be boom, 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 bringing back things, which is really exciting.
Right, and some have come back, like the Beauty and the Beast live on stage. It came back, but then at the same time they're staying distanced on the stage, so it's different because Belle and the Beast kind of keep away from each other. At least when I saw it, they were the finale scene. She's kind of like 10 feet from the Beast. So, but I think we'll see some of those things. The Star Wars hotel opening up, they didn't do anything distance there. You're right. You're just right in there with everybody. So if they're going to do it there, I expected that it would be pretty soon that we'd see it happen in the parks.
What about parades? Have they made any parades made their way back yet at all?
Yes.
Okay, so that's all business as usual.
Yeah, I mean, they've brought back a lot of their bigger, the big Maleficent dragon. They made that big announcement that will be back, and brought back a lot of a variety of character parades where you can see a lot of different characters.
Terrific. Things are getting
Yeah.
back to normal.
Yeah, one more. The other biggest thing that I saw that really excited me this past week is they did a media day for the Guardians of the Galaxy Cosmic Rewind, where they basically just kind of went through the ride and shot some videos, and the queue looks really cool. It kind of looks like Space 220, but on steroids. Like you're actually like in it, and it looks really cool, which I'm pumped for it because I want to ride it this summer. So that really got me excited.
That's really cool. When is it scheduled to open? Have they made that announcement yet?
I think it's May. I think it might be May or June, maybe.
There was I feel so. a few weeks ago, one of the executives, I either tweeted or put it on Instagram. It was Memorial Day. We'll see you on Memorial Day, and then it vanished. I don't think he was supposed to say, and so a lot of people think it'll be Memorial Weekend,
Really?
but unless they move it because.
I'm hoping they do a pass holder preview, and me and McCabe could sneak in on that pass holder day because they did that for Remy's Ratatouille, and that was really like a month or two. That was in October. We got our passes, and the month after that. So I'm really hoping that we're going to be able to get that preview because that would be really cool for sure.
Do we know much about the nature, like what kind of ride it is?
Yeah, it's Dad. You can probably explain it better. It's like a roller coaster, but the car can spin.
The car spins like they can direct your sight what they want you to see. Kind of, it's like a dune buggy roller coaster.
You think it's kind of like the Harry Potter ride at Universal, where it's part movie, part 3D, 4D experience, part thrill ride, and
is it
roller
that Green Gots? Is that what you're talking about? The
Forbidden Journey.
The Forbidden Journey.
Oh, okay.
I don't know.
I think it might be closer to. It's going to have a track where you're actually going to be riding, and I think you're going to go faster than. I think Forbidden Journey. You're kind of on like a soaring chair where you're just kind of being pulled
Suspended,
over and
right.
suspended around.
I think it is like a more like a car because the first time we rode Forbidden Journey, we had John David's grandmother with us, and we all rode it. And I definitely remember there was a point that it flips you back, and you're kind of upside down for a second because your car moves because things fell out of my pockets. And we had his grandmother who's in her 80s on the ride. Of course, she didn't realize she flipped upside down.
So there's Dementors.
Like, a little warning here. We had no idea, but I think it's kind of like that. But
did she love
everything
it, though? I want to know more about Grandma.
She liked
she
it a
didn't
lot.
know, she had never seen the movie. She didn't know what she was seeing.
Did she like the ride?
She just had a good little laugh.
She just likes being with her grandkids. I don't think she knew what had happened, and we were also concerned about her at that point. We were like, "Oh my goodness!" But this looks like it's more roller coaster. I've only seen just little clip footage where it shows Imagineers riding it, but it has a reverse launch. I know that. That's one thing they announced.
Really? Okay, that's super cool.
Yeah,
well,
I think
that's awesome.
You take off backward because you're going. I think you're. I got the Cosmic Rewind, like you're going back.
Oh, yeah.
And I thought it was going to be going back to Star-Lord's, what's his name? Peter?
Yeah, Peter
What's
Quill.
Star-Lord's name?
Peter Quill.
I thought they were tying something into that he had been to Epcot as a little boy because that was originally what they showed.
Ooh.
A picture of Chris Pratt at Epcot, and I thought they were going to make that.
You never know. I mean, that could.
But now everybody's talking about like that you're going back to the Big Bang, and I'm like, where did that come from? You know, where did we get that storyline? I seen that on non-Disney like fan base stuff. That's where. But I think you're rewinding somewhere. So I guess that's why we go
the Big
reverse
Bang.
launch.
I think in the first Guardians of the Galaxy movie, they described the Big Bang as the origins of all the Infinity Stones. So there's that Big Bang, and that's where you get all these stones are separated. But if Chris Pratt, I mean, if he will have his own ride now at Epcot, so that means Chris Pratt will have a Guardians of the Galaxy Epcot at Disneyland, and then also, Dustin, you'll see when you go to Universal, the Velocicoaster, he's got this really cool, unique queue where you go through Jurassic Park, and there's I was about to say dragons. There's dinosaurs everywhere, and he's got his own clip where he talks to the crowd, and it was
that's
pretty
cool.
funny. And I love that ride. You really have got to do the Velocicoaster.
Oh,
It's
we
so awesome.
absolutely. I'm glad. That's a great place to transition. I'm
Yeah.
leave in a couple of days to spend a few days at the Universal Studios Parks, Islands of Adventure, and Volcano Bay Water Park. And I just wanted to ask you guys, and I've kind of, it's been a little while since I've been to a theme park. I got my whole family and bringing some other people too. What are like the tips you would give someone like me who's going to a theme park from some theme park going pros? What are some must-have items I got to bring? Some things I got to keep. I thought I've got a few that I've kind of written down, but I'd love to hear from you guys, and maybe our listeners would love maybe a top 10 list or a top. It don't have to be 10. It could be 12. It could be 27. I don't care. But what are the top things you would recommend somebody going into a theme park keep in mind or bring with them?
Yeah, for sure.
JD, you want to go first or want me to go first?
Yeah, I mean, we could just kind of piggyback off each other. I've got this kind of list of things that we can go back and forth. Maybe I'm sure we have some things that we both have. So, of course, when you go to the parks, you want to prepare for the hot weather. But the biggest thing that first came to mind when I think, okay, I'm going to the parks for 1 day, 5 days, however long, you definitely want either a rain jacket or a poncho. I don't care if you're sitting at home before your flight and you're looking at Florida's, forecast and it's saying sunshine, no chance of rain, not even a chance of a cloud. You want to be prepared with a rain jacket or a poncho for everybody in your group, because the last thing you want to do is write it down, man. Yeah, because the last thing you want is for there to be this storm day and you've lost out on this whole park day because you're all wearing cloth, t-shirts and you're soaking wet and you're just not prepared. You don't want to waste a day because and you don't want to have to spend, $30 on a poncho that's plastic. You want to get a much cheaper one.
They tear very easily too.
Yes,
the parks.
So
that's happened to us.
Mm-hmm.
JD and I one time. I mean, it was a beautiful day. This was like a couple of years. This is the worst I think it's ever hit us. And we were at Hollywood Studios, and I was at a popcorn stand, and the worker goes, "You better run." And I went, "What?" And she goes, "It's about to rain." And I mean, the bottom just dropped out, and we're huddled under this little umbrella at a little courtyard where you could eat. And there's like 20 people all trying to get under this one umbrella. And I mean, we got drenched. So on top of all that, I would also say if you have 2 rain jackets and you're going to be there, because you guys are going to be there several days, I would pack an extra rain jacket, because once it gets drenched and you go back to your hotel, they don't always dry unless you're going to, it like the next day when you're ready to go out again, it might still be damp. And so if you have a second one that you can take the next day, that's a good thing too, in case it hasn't completely dried out.
Yeah, and to piggyback off that, another thing you want to bring an extra pair of is comfortable tennis shoes, or just shoes you want to wear to the park, because in the same way your rain jacket can get soaked. I've had absolutely soaked tennis shoes and then had the next day having to squash through the parks for the first couple hours, and that is not fun at all.
That's a great point. I'm writing that down. I'm writing all this down, by the way, guys.
A couple of years in 2019, we went to JD and I went to Disneyland, and we were used to Splash Mountain in Florida, and we get to Splash Mountain in Disneyland, and we got drenched. That had never happened to me. I've gotten wet before. I mean, we were literally drenched. Like, it was so much water came
Splash
in.
Mountain.
Our hair was wet. Every part of my clothes and my jeans and my shoes, it was like we had walked through a car wash. We were that wet. I've never gotten that wet on a water ride before. And we had to leave. We had to leave the park and go. Fortunately, we were at the Disneyland hotels, which was right there. But we had to go back to the hotel, completely change clothes, and come back because it was miserable. And that was in November. So you're going to be there in April. So, and I understand that the water rides, if you do any water rides at Universal, that you get really wet on all of them, more than you would at like Splash Mountain or the ones at Disney World. Popeye ride and the Popeye ride, and there's Dudley Do Right. the
Jurassic
kids
Park
area,
ones too.
you get
Yeah.
soaked.
You get absolutely soaked. So that's another good one. One that people, of course, say a lot is have a good backpack or comfortable bag with you. My advice with that is that the goal for anybody who I go with, me and McKay, we just want one person to have a good backpack. With our family growing up, we had a lot of kind of scary experiences because we all had different bags, and it would be a whole lot easier just for one person to have one good bag and hold everybody's valuables, and you can just rotate who holds the bag. But that's a whole lot easier than everybody just having one simple small bag and then everybody having something to keep up with when you're getting on and off a ride. It's just way easier in my experience to deal with.
Nice. I love it.
Yeah.
One backpack. And y'all, I don't know if y'all probably never done this, JD, but we're actually bringing a stroller also, even though my kids are over stroller age. My youngest is 6, and I do imagine he'll get tired at some point. I got one big enough for him to get. We've gotten rid of all our strollers, so I happened onto this like kids consignment expo because I was at a meeting yesterday, and just happened to have this thing at the same place, and they had this jogger that was like super cheap that Cohen could fit in, and more than that, more than a kid, you put all your stuff in it. Right. So you can like leave your backpack in it and that kind of thing.
That's
so,
great.
I don't know if y'all, I know it's been a long time since David dealt with a stroller, and JD, maybe one day soon you will, but
one day.
I did go ahead and I bought it too because, I think it cost me $40 for this really nice jogger with the big wheels, the whole 9 yards. And it's cheaper than renting it. So I went ahead and just bought it, and we'll sell it or give it away, when we get home. So
actually a fun fact. Oh, sorry, you go ahead.
Go ahead. Yeah, you go first.
I was going to say a fun fact about Disney that I've seen, a little funny fact, is the number one thing that they have that people abandon and they leave at the parks, which they say is left, but they have such a large number of, are strollers. People fly in, they get like a cheap, easy, accessible stroller, and then they have to fly back, and then they just don't need it anymore, so they end up leaving it. So I think stroller was number one, and then sunglasses are number 2 of the most things that are left at parks.
I'm writing sunglasses down too. I don't want to forget them.
Yeah, sunglasses.
Yeah, I've got that on my list. But I definitely, when our kids were little, I remember the struggle of getting that stroller on buses and monorails. It was so that was one thing that I remember deciding, like, next time I'm going to rent the stroller because they're big enough for 2 kids to get in. They were at that time, for elementary age, they could still fit in the stroller, and I didn't have to get it on and off transportation. Now you're going to be You're going to be driving your own car and your own vehicle, so you're not going to have that. But trying to get those buses, oh my goodness, getting that stroller folded up and getting 3 toddlers and elementary age kids on that bus, that was a handful. It was
that's what I remember too. Universal compared to Disney, like there aren't there's not as much Disney. There's not transportation. You go to the parking lot and you walk to the front gate, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right. And there's no there's the Hogwarts thing, the trains and stuff like that, but
right.
We'll see.
Well, yeah.
All right. So we got. That's a great point though on the stroller that I hadn't thought about. In May, had I thought if I go into Disney, I don't want to drag stuff on and off trains and transports and monorails either. That's a headache. I never even considered. Great point.
Yeah. One thing I would add with the rain jacket that I want to have in my little backpack is I really do want a small umbrella. I don't want to. I think one for your family, but a couple of times we've got caught, not so much the rain. A couple of years ago when I was there, I really wanted to go. This was at Disney World. I really wanted that waffle at the Sleepy Hollow stand in Liberty Square. And it was the day that they released a Haunted Mansion sipper cup that was, the line went all the way to Tomorrowland. It was so long. And I really wanted, so I decided it was down to 30 minutes and I was going to wait, but it was just right in the sun. And I've never gotten sunburned in the park, but that day I could have, because it was going to be a 30, 40 minute wait and there's no shade.
You need sunscreen.
You need sunscreen, but I stood there for a minute going, should I get? Finally, I got my umbrella out, and I just said, "I'm going to do it. I'm not going to stand here just roasting." And then all of a sudden, everybody else starts. It's like I was the catalyst. And everybody goes, "I'm going to do that too." And everybody pulls out their rain umbrellas, but it was just to give you some shade because it was so hot. So I would have that.
Small umbrella and sunscreen, got both of those along. That's great stuff too.
The number one thing.
Go ahead.
The one thing that I have on my list that I know will be number one on Dad's list anytime he goes, we make sure to have it, is a battery pack for your phone, some way to charge your phone in the parks. So many times we want to take pictures and videos of rides, and then we start to run out of batteries. So we always try to have at least one extra battery pack or some way to charge our phone if we need it.
Great job. Believe it or not, I ordered 2 on Amazon.
Brilliant. Great.
2 days ago. Hopefully
that is my number. And now that we use our phones nonstop,
because you're on your app.
It drains it so fast, and pictures and everything. You're just that was my top. Probably my number 2 after a rain jacket.
That's a great point.
I know that Disney you can get the little fuel rods. You can go to the machine and get one out. It's like $30, I think. And then you can turn it back in, and you can keep recycling it. But I would definitely invest in that. It's the best thing to have. It weighs your backpack down, but it's and they flag security. I don't know why, but the battery chargers. I would also my next thing on my list is Ziploc bags. You need several Ziploc bags for one to put your phone in on a water ride. It's gonna even in your backpack. I would put your phone in a Ziploc bag, but I would put things like all of your chargers and your cords. I would put them in a Ziploc bag so that if you go through security, you can just pull that Ziploc bag out, and they can see what you have, and it doesn't flag. It happened every time we went through Disney this past trip, and it kept being that battery charger that stopped me at security. So I just started carrying it
in the park to plug like a regular charger in.
There are places you can go. I know at Disney, there's certain, in some of the newer areas they've put some, but they're not nearly as many as you might need. Like even in the area there's at Rapunzel, near those Rapunzel bathrooms, there's a lot of those, but there can be a whole group of people standing where you need to charge. So I would definitely have that on my own.
I brought down Ziploc bags. Great idea for that. Great idea on Ziploc bags.
Yeah. An insider tip for food and snacks and things such as that. Me and McKay make sure to always bring one, like Nalgene or some sort of water bottle. It doesn't even have to be full necessarily when you first start out, but Disney is really known for always giving out free water at certain food stations if you need it. So you can always refill that water bottle in your backpack. It's just a way to cut back on that initial, okay, everybody, let's buy $5 Dasani water. Well, just bring a couple of water bottles, fill them up at the water stations every once in a while, and that's an easy way that you can cut back on spending money on water. And another thing that I would really advise, especially for someone who's going with a family for multiple days, is bring snacks, but specifically bring snacks for breakfast. Bring, granola bars, cereal cups, anything like that, where you don't have to spend the time in the morning before everybody gets there. You can hop on and do some rides, but you don't have to spend money when people are really just wanting to start their day on a little snack. It saves you so much time and money in the parks when you can just hand out some granola bars as you wait in line, and you'll be hungry for lunch like you would either way.
Love it.
Yeah.
Great tip.
I saw when I'm in the parks, especially, I know I'm going to want things like popcorn, things like that. They're some of my favorite things in the parks. And I usually like to go ahead and put in my backpack. I'm going to have a couple of Coke Zeros in my bag because it's just so much cheaper to bring your own than to buy it there. But I just saw a video recently that said Disney, this is Disney again, but that they sell 75 million Coke products a year.
Wow.
And they sell 13 million waters.
That's amazing.
So if you like the Coke, I would bring you, or your Sprite.
Let me ask you this.
I would put a couple in your bag.
What are your opinions of refillable souvenir cups? Multiple days in the park.
Okay, so I'm not familiar with the prices. So we go to Dollywood sometimes, which for people who don't know is an amusement park in East Tennessee, and they have them, and I think they range around $16 to $18.
Yeah.
So if you were doing multiple days, that is great. I think if you can keep up with them, I think that would be the way to go if it's convenient to refill them. I know we did them a couple of years ago at Disney during a December trip, and we could fill them up with like hot chocolate, and it became just a part of the experience of always having like a hot chocolate that everybody could get at our campground or wherever we stayed. And that was a really fun experience. So if you've got a lot of days and you look at the price, I would definitely consider doing that.
And if it's with your kids, I would make sure it's something that really fastens. It's not something with a straw that is going to leak in your bag. And that I would also want to, if you're having one backpack for family, that it's not something so big that you can't get them all in the bag.
Well, if we have the stroller too, we can like keep it.
Yeah,
you'll be cups in the stroller.
Yeah,
that's
a great thing.
Thinking about that.
Yeah, I mean, that thing was. Oh, sorry, you go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
I was just going to say the thing with those are you could just buy. You wouldn't necessarily have to buy one for everyone in the family. You could buy 3 of them and then just kind of help each other out and share and do things like that. If you're all family, you know, I mean, there's so many ways you can make it, you know, affordable and do it the way you guys want to do it, and get extra cups and just pour every time you guys have a little snack break. And it's so easy.
Dude, for families, I'm going to write down extra cups.
Yeah,
for sure. Or maybe like little tray, like something to share snacks with. Like some of those donuts and some of those like things you buy are so big you want to share them. You know, to give everybody a section those things off.
That is definitely something. Like even as adults, the last time I went, I wished that I had just a bunch of paper saucers in like a paper plates that when we went to Epcot that we could divide the food and have it, you know, just right there on the spot and be able to share without having to eat out of the same plate.
Yeah, so that's some great advice. Also for our Disney people, again, my wife is one of those Disney people who I'm saying bypass breakfast. She's saying I'm going to Disney to eat breakfast, to eat lunch, to eat dinner. Like that's what she loves about Disney. So, I mean, if that's the reason you're going, you definitely don't have to take that tip because she's turning me into a Disney foodie. So I understand both sides to that.
But when our kids were little, when JD and his sisters were really little, it was so much easier to pack their favorite sandwiches and their goldfish and have that all ready because they didn't know French fries and chicken tenders were it was just expensive, and so we saved so much money by not going down that path when they were really little because they didn't even know how to appreciate it, and especially if you have a picky eater in your group. I would bring what they like and have that ready in case you don't find those things. And again, I know Danielle, your wife is going to have wipes and things like that. Those, you know, napkins, extra things like that in your bag with kids is a must because you're going to get sticky and you're going to get, you know, you're going to need to clean up.
The next thing on my list isn't something to bring to the parks, but something to prepare for, and that is have extra room in your suitcase for souvenirs, sweatshirts that you might buy, any fun stuff. Nothing is worse than trying to jam pack your suitcase and saying, I don't know how I'm going to fit all this because you got a box of new things that you got at the park or your kids got some toys and you're like, I literally don't know how I'm going to get this home. Especially for the people who fly, it's a great thing to make sure you have extra room in your suitcase for me.
Love it.
Yeah, and I think if you know that you're going to buy stuff, like you might need a second person to have a book bag if you don't have a stroller. Because even the last time we went, I got a popcorn bucket at Disney because you can refill it, but it's big, and those popcorn buckets. You got to carry
that around with you.
Yeah, you got to. You can. It has a strap. You can put it on your arm, but that's
or
getting
on your head, like a hat.
So we had that crammed in the book bag and everything. Then I would need my phone charger. I would need a zip. It gets cramped in your book bag fast, especially if you're buying souvenirs or anything like that.
Yeah.
Those are good things.
Another thing to pre-buy, especially for if you know your kids want those autographs, if you know their kids really value that time with their favorite character, go ahead and pre-buy those autograph books. So right when you get there, you can start off with that. You're not having to find autograph books once you get there. I know Universal, you can meet Spider-Man and some really cool superheroes and different cartoon characters there. But I've also seen this fun thing. Of course, I've never experienced this because I don't have kids. But one tip that I've seen a lot of people do is they'll actually pre-buy like little stuffed animal gifts to give to their kids like every morning or night that they get at like Target or Toys R Us or, any other toy store. So they already get a toy. So once you get to the parks, you're not having to spend, whatever they inflate charges there, because it's at the park. So you can always say, hey, look, you've got your Spider-Man action figure right here. Let's play with your, that you got at Target for 1/4 of the price. If you're really balling on a budget and you want to also bless your kids with fun toys, that's a creative way to do it.
It's a good idea. I love it.
Yeah, because back in the day, you could just steer your kids away from gift shops, but they're at the end of every attraction, so you're still going to walk through it. You're still going to get the
my kids
Mom,
have been
Dad,
saving
please,
up
please,
for
please,
wands.
please.
Oh,
Yeah.
That's fun.
So we've actually had their own money that they've been saving and working towards for this, and
that's perfect.
they're all wanting wands from.
Yeah.
I think that's
old
one of the
vendors.
most fun things there. And if they do that, you guys, you could spend 2 whole days doing Harry Potter. You really can. If you love it and you do the wands, I would say that was one of our all-time favorite experiences was the wand ceremony. And we had one of my kids really was impacted by Harry Potter more than even at the time JD and my other child. So it was we just stumbled in at the right time where there were only like 2 other families in there, and she got picked. Now it could be so crowded this week when you're there but I would hold back if your kid wants to. That's really important.
Try to do that.
I would try to maneuver it so my kid got picked. Get them up
and
near
if
the
we
front.
don't, we'll just get back in the line and go
there you
again.
go. It's all vendors, right?
It has a line just to get in the room.
Oh, I know.
I think now. It's
all of it. All vendors.
Yeah, and I don't know that they do. I think you definitely can buy wands in more than one place. So you want to make sure that you buy your wand, where you can see the ceremony, because that's something you don't want to miss.
Yeah,
we have
it's
great.
so
that
cool.
was one of our great video moments, and
Yeah.
What else do you guys got for us?
Yeah, so
On
the last 2 things that a lot of people don't think about that you definitely want to make sure you have them in your bag are pain relievers, ibuprofen, Advil, something like that. Nothing's worse than you've made it to the park, you've done the traveling, and you're excited for your trip, and someone in your party has a massive headache or a blister or some sort of just annoying, physical pain that you just want them to be able to enjoy the park. Advil and ibuprofen's always been able to help us in that. And then the very last thing that I would really advise is hand sanitizer. Of course, hand sanitizer, you're touching a lot of rides, bars, things like that, and then you want to eat a snack. It's so easy just to have a little squirt hand sanitizer that you can just pass around and not have to worry about germs or anything like that.
Awesome, man! I got all that down. David, you got anything else on your list?
Only other thing that I had on mine was, which I don't know that this will affect you at this time of year, but to have a jacket besides your rain, like have a hoodie or something, in case it gets cool at night. Like I'm very hot natured, so even when we were down in Florida and it hits like 60, if you're from Florida, that's cold. But to me, it was like T-shirt weather, so I was fine. But definitely when it dips down in the 60s at night, you'll see the hoodies come out. And again, when you're gonna have a stroller, I would make sure you've got a layer that you can take on and off. Sometimes in the morning you need the hoodie, and then by like 10 o'clock you don't need the hoodie, and then at 7 o'clock at night you might need it again when the sun goes down. So.
Well,
That
there's a
was
couple
the last thing.
other factors in that too. If you end up with a sunburn of any sort, then it gets cold at night. Then also, let's say you ride a water ride, or you get kind of wet, or it rains, or you're just really hot, and then you go in a super air conditioned queue line for an hour. You could freeze to death. Inside those air conditioned spots because you were hot, and then you get sweaty, and now you're freezing. So I think that's great for a lot of reasons to have like something with sleeves, even a lightweight zip up
for
hoodie
sure.
or something like that. Great call, David.
And I didn't think of this, but when he reminded me of the ibuprofen and the blisters, I would with your kids, I'd have some Band-Aids. I'd just have something like that in my pack in case you do have a blister or somebody's finger gets pinched or something. You've got something there to. Oh, and then the last thing especially with your boys, I know you're going with a larger group. I don't know if you're all going to stay together, divide up, but with the boys, I would have some diversion, something for them to play with, a game. You see a lot of people playing headbands on their phones, just something that you guys can do in line, because it's going to be a lot of lines, and they're going to need something to make it fun while they're waiting.
Got it. That's a great
So
idea, man. This is a great list. I mean, I wrote down every single thing right there. We'll post this for everyone else who may be taking a trip as well. I love how you guys explained it all too. There's things I never would have, very interesting things I thought of, but maybe not for the reasons that I was thinking too. And then a lot of stuff I didn't think of that you guys have hopefully saved me on. So, dude, thank you guys for the tips. I really appreciate it. I hope it's really valuable to our listeners too.
Yeah, I'm excited to hear about your trip.
That you're going. I wish I could go with you. I can't. Now you're both going to have ridden Velocicoaster and Hagrid's, and I still haven't. So I'm jealous.
We'll get you down here.
When we'll let you know how it is. As soon as we get back, we'll do a recap on the trip and talk about that and some of the things that went down. I'm really excited about the food too, JD. My kids just listened to the episode where you described
the Great Feast.
The Great Feast, and they're already they're chomping at the bit to try all that.
I would definitely. If there are two things food wise, I would definitely. You got to have butterbeer, and I would go to both the Harry Potter restaurants. I think it's worth the time. I mean, than eating food in other parts of the park. It's still the most memorable to me. Even though there may be good food, it's still more memorable to eat there.
We're going to check both those out. But I will say my oldest son is most excited about getting a Krusty Burger over in Simpsons. He's obsessed with the Simpsons. And what's that's another Disney property now that's over at Universal. It's kind of crazy. You've got Marvel and you've got the Simpsons now that Disney owns. But that Simpsons place looks pretty significant. There's a donut shop there that looks pretty awesome. They actually have Moe's Tavern. And they have the Flaming Moe's drink, that from the cartoon. It's not all non-alcoholic, but my kids are cannot wait to go try this stuff out and
that's awesome.
See what that's like. So we're pumped about it. I get really excited about the food now myself too. So we're gonna try it all out.
Awesome.
Well, guys,
I'm so
thanks
glad
for your
you
time.
guys have several days too. A lot of times at Universal you only have a day or two, and you guys are going to have a few. So you're going to have a great time and enjoy the water parks too. I've not done the water park there, but I've seen footage and videos of it though. So
and that's something we haven't talked a lot about on the podcast. Is we haven't spoke a lot about Disney water parks and some of the water parks that are out there. I'd love to do an episode as we get into the summer of your favorite water parks you guys have ever visited. What you like about water parks, what you hate about water parks. I have a list of kind of my all-time favorite water parks as I've gone to them, and just would love to know your take on that. What makes a great water park? So when we come back, we'll talk about that a little more too.
Alrighty, I'm excited for that. It's good stuff.
Well, check it out. Let us know what you think. That's why we love theme parks, why we love Disney, and leave us a review if you get a chance, and would love to do that. We'd love a 5-star review from you on Spotify or Apple Music. You can contact us at whyilovedisney.com. And until next time, guys, great to have you, and we'll do it again soon.
Have a good one.
All right, see you later.
Take care.